Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever seen a motorcycle so fast, so angry, and so over-engineered that most racers were too scared to ride it? Well, allow me to introduce you to the Moto Guzzi V8, the two-wheeled firecracker from 1955 that roared like a dragon with indigestion and scared the leathers off more riders than taxis scare my neighbor. Now, this wasn't your average Italian cafe racer. No. This was a 500 cubic centimeters, 8-cylinder mechanical experiment that looked like it was either going to win a Grand Prix or explode like a toaster in a bathtub. And guess what? Sometimes it did both. But before I dive headfirst into this tale of octane-soaked insanity, smash that subscribe button like it owes you money. Because here at Timmy Tiny Wheels, I bring you machines so wild they almost took out their inventors and sometimes the spectators too. Save me. Click the button now. Grab your helmet and hold on tight. It's time to meet the Otto Cilindri. So how do you fight a war in the 1950s Grand Prix scene? If you're Moto Guzzi, you don't bring a knife. You bring 8 daggers duct taped together and hope they all stab at once. Designed by the engineering madman Giulio Carcano and assisted by Enrico Cantoni and Umberto Todero, this beast had a 90-degree V8 engine with 8 Dell'Orto 20mm carburetors and 2 valves per cylinder. That's right, 8 freaking carburetors. I can barely manage one lawn, never mind. This tiny 499 cubic centimeters engine screamed at 12,000 revolutions per minute, producing up to 80 horsepower in its final form. And it weighed just 99 pounds, that's about 45 kilograms. I believe it was lighter than my Uncle Tony's lies at poker night. It had water cooling, a transverse layout, and could push the bike to a face-melting 160+ miles per hour. That's 275 kilometers per hour. Some reports even claimed it hit 318 kilometers per hour, 107 miles per hour. Transmission? Oh, they were trying everything, 4, 5, even 6-speed boxes. You could say they were shifting expectations. The suspension was a throwback. Front forks with Girling shocks, a double biscotto clamp, and twin shocks in the rear. Brakes were drum style, the central 4-shoe set up front and a rear drum out back. Not bad for the 50s, but still, stopping from 160 miles per hour with drums feels like trying to stop a freight train with a firm handshake. Wheels, skinny little things. Up front, 3.00 by 19 inches, and out back, 3.25 by 20 inches. And yet the dry weight was only around 342 pounds, 155 kilograms. Imagine being that light and that terrifying. It was basically the Steve Buscemi of motorcycles. During its first track outing in 1955, it showed up in a mysterious full dustbin fairing, like a mechanical UFO with performance anxiety. The factory didn't want anyone copying their homework, so they just covered the whole thing like Grandma's plastic couch wrap. And then came the test ride. Fergus Anderson, the team's rider, took one look at it, rode it once, and immediately went shopping for life insurance. Others, like Stanley Woods and Ken Kavanagh, flat out refused to ride it. Even back then, riders weren't ready to be launched into orbit just for a podium. It wasn't until Bill Lomas, a man clearly missing the danger gene, took the reins and actually won a race at Assen in 1957 after starting from the last row. I think that's the motorcycle equivalent of turning water into wine, then wheeling into the sunset. That same year, Lomas also set a 10 kilometers standing start record at 243 kilometers per hour, 151 miles per hour, and on a test track, he hit that mythical approximately 318 kilometers per hour. The V8 remained the fastest Grand Prix motorcycle for nearly 2 decades. And here I am struggling to get my moped past Timmy Jr.'s electric scooter. So why did it disappear? Because it was just too much too soon. It needed 800 sparks per second to run properly. The ignition systems in the 1950s weren't ready for that kind of wizardry. And like most geniuses, it was misunderstood, underfunded, and often broke. The thing was so advanced it scared its own pit crew. It was fast when it worked, but most of the time it just did not finish, like a college dropout on finals week. Despite its brilliance, and let me be clear, it was brilliant, it was also unreliable. This thing had more electrical tantrums than a boomer with a new smartphone. But boy, when it worked like the gods were pushing it. And now, the price. You ready? The Moto Guzzi V8 was never mass-produced. Only 5 complete bikes were built by the factory between 1955 and 1957, along with 2 spare engines. All of them were hand-assembled by the factory's racing department in Mandello del Lario and used exclusively for Grand Prix competition. As of today, only 2 original engines are confirmed to survive, both locked up in the Moto Guzzi Museum like mechanical Mona Lisas. But here's the real kicker. In 2016, a 1956 replica with mostly original parts sold at auction in London for £196,250 British pounds sterling, which was around 240,000 euros or $285,000 at the time. That's right, nearly $300,000 for a replica. You know what else costs that much? Therapy after trying to ride one of these things. What I like the most about it? It dared. The Otto Cilindri wasn't just ahead of its time. It was in another dimension. It didn't whisper elegance, it screamed innovation and then stalled in the pit lane. In the end, this motorcycle wasn't perfect, but it was unforgettable. Like your neighbor who builds a rocket in their backyard. You don't want to ride it, but you respect the hell out of the ambition. Don't forget to subscribe. And remember, if someone on the internet says they could have designed a better bike in 1955, they probably haven't even assembled IKEA furniture without crying.